Goedendag, fijn dat u kijkt. Dit is Patricia Meets Lifechangers. En ook vandaag heb ik weer een bijzondere lifechanger bij mij in de studio. Hij is acteur, hij is zanger, theatermaker. Hij woont helemaal in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh ja, en hij was bijna 20 jaar de construction worker van The Village People. Zijn naam? William Whitefield. William, good day.
Good day. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Great to be here.
You are so lucky. The weather is amazing.
Incredible.
How was your flight?
Very good. Non-eventful, which is always good when you're flying.
Okay.
Good weather, beautiful, weather, and it was on time, so it was great.
So we have a lot to talk about today. As I just introduced you, you are so many things and...
Too many things.
You can never be too many.
Well,
too much.
Yeah.
But if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with the beginning.
Sure.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm actually originally from Tennessee,
Oh.
the great state of Tennessee in America, obviously. I was born in Memphis, but was raised in Nashville.
Uh-huh.
So Nashville's a music city.
Yeah,
it's a big
number
music
one.
city. Yeah, so I was exposed to a lot of music from a very early age. Began playing the piano very early and started singing very early and sang in church and got involved in musical theater and performances and plays when I was very young. So that just led me into the arts. It was a great place to grow up, and it was a lot of fun to do different things. Played piano, I was in the marching band, I was a singer, I was an actor. As a kid, you just sort of do it all, Try a lot of things.
But you could do it all.
Well, I was very lucky.
Talented.
I was very lucky. I went to a high school, Nashville, it's kind of known for its performing arts, specifically music. But they had a great performing arts department, and I worked with wonderfully talented people, really wonderful teachers that I was so inspired by. I was very lucky. A lot of people hate their high school years, and I was quite the opposite. I had great experiences in high school. Got to be on the stage. I got to be on the marching band.
So everything. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Were you only child?
No, there was a whole lot of us actually.
Oh wow.
Well, 4 of us, and then my parents, always kind of had a foster child too. My parents were very interesting people back in the 70s. They were always taking care of everybody. So there was a group of us, but I was kind of the one who was the artsy one.
Okay.
They were into sports and academics and other things, but I was the artsy one.
So did you stay in Nashville, or
I did for a while. Well, I left by the time I was 17. I had left Nashville. I mean, I go back all the time.
It.
Well, I was just very lucky. I had the opportunity to go to college in Los Angeles, so it was a big opportunity for me to sort of take a big step in my career and just in my academic career and just in life. And that was life-changing for me for sure. I went to Pepperdine University in Malibu, California, and I was asked to be, I was a scholarship student, meaning I had to kind of, I was a theater scholarship student, so I had to put a lot of my time and effort into the theater department, which was great. I had to learn how to, be an actor, singer, dancer, set builder, lighting designer. You just start learning everything, how to run a theater.
Yeah.
It was that was life-changing for me too, because I just learned how to do a lot of things. And then from there, I'll just give you the quick, bullet points. I ended up getting a job pretty early, right out of college, as a singer at Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, in Tokyo.
In Tokyo. So I got to
Okay.
move to Tokyo for 2 years, and I performed for Disney there, which is a great job when you're 21 years old.
Of course, that's amazing.
I had great opportunities there, and just continued to train. And then from there, I was about 22, I guess. I moved to New York City, which was a great opportunity for me too. Now, it was not the best time to move to New York City. It was kind of at a time when there was, things were not so good in New York. It was a little bit of in the 80s. It was kind of, I think it was 1989, maybe 1990.
Tell us what, because for maybe there's also people who never been to New York, or they don't know.
Well, New York was, went through some rough times. There was a period of time when, there was, the Gulf War was going on at the time, and a lot of people were, they weren't going out as much, and down in Manhattan, Times Square did not look like it does today. It was kind of boarded up, and theater was still going on, but it wasn't quite thriving. The subways were not, were
It
kind
was
of...
all a bit shabby.
It was shabby. It needed a makeover. And then that started in the 90s.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, so in the 90s, in the early to mid 90s, it started to sort of... People always joke that they started turning it into Disneyland, turning Times Square into Disneyland. But anyway, it started, of course, to improve, and I lived in New York for several years, and did performances with the New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players at City Center in New York. I was a trained baritone, like I was a classically trained singer.
Yeah.
So I got the opportunity to do a lot of that, and then.
Did you ever do Broadway?
I didn't do. I did tours, and I did, But by the time I was really ready to start doing that, I got the job with the Village People. So I kind of took a left turn, Still always did theater, whenever I could. A lot of regional stuff, a lot of off-Broadway. I did play City Center, which was a production contract, but it was a limited run, so it wasn't a long run. So, and it was Gilbert and Sullivan, like the old operettas. So it was a little bit different, but. So I got a call from my agent in, let's see, I guess it was 2001. This was right after 9/11.
Oh.
Yeah, and they were looking for a sub, a standby.
Yeah.
We call them different things, but sort of somebody to cover some of the guys when they were out. Specifically, they wanted me to cover David Hodo, the construction worker, who was, he just didn't want to perform all the time. He
wanted to have a break.
Yeah, he wanted a little break,
okay.
and he just wanted to have a relief. Sometimes some of the long flights and stuff, and it was a great opportunity for me. And I think I got it because I looked most like him at the audition. There was a lot of people there, but it just was lucky. It was, you know how it is. You go and there's 1,000 people at the audition, and everybody can sing really well. Everybody's a great dancer. Everybody has good credits and all these things, but sometimes it's like, you get lucky, you have a good look, or it's just falls into place. So I was lucky that day, and they called me that afternoon and said, "Can you go to Vegas to?" I had to learn the show in New York, but they wanted me to go to Vegas in December of 2001. I said, "Sure." So
I go to Vegas,
and I was going to cover David for a series of shows all the way through New Year's. It was like between Christmas and New Year's, all the way, And I'll never forget, I told my husband at the time, we had only met recently, just prior to that. And we had decided we were going to try to go and visit his family and my family, and we were doing the whole introduction thing over Christmas. And I said, well, we have to change our plans because I have to go to Vegas. I said, you can come with me. He goes, why do we have to go to Vegas? It's because I'm going to be working with the Village People. He goes, you're going to go work with some knockoff group? I said, no, it's the Village People. And he's like, what? It's the Village People? He was like, he thought it was some,
But then,
group that,
especially at that time, the Village People
they were doing really well.
They were really doing well.
Well, they had lost Glenn Hughes, one of the amazing, the Leatherman, who.
Did you ever meet him?
I never did. He was the one, because it's interesting, this story, and it kind of ties into some of the things I'm working on now. Glenn passed away in spring of 2001, and then. The guy who was the cover for the group took his position because they were working a lot, and it was hard for the group to lose him, of course, because he was such an incredible force in that group and quintessential character that he created, and did a lot for the gay community and just for putting that kind of persona out there, and kind of led the way. So those tough shoes to fill, and I didn't have to fill those shoes because he got hired. Eric Enzelone was the cover at the time, and he took over that position. And so then they needed a new cover. And David was kind of the one who was saying, I don't want to work all the time. I want to work some. I want to work a little. So I ended up getting, so it's because of Glenn, oddly.
At the end, you went.
Right.
But you did it from 2001 till 2019?
Well, understand that when I first started, I was a cover, so I wasn't full-time.
Okay.
I did it for, David was in the group until 2013, and then I took it over in 2013 full-time until about 2019, give or take.
But you're also an actor, singer, theater maker. So in those years that you were just like a stand-in, did you do any other work?
I did a lot of other things. That's when I played at City Center in New York. I was writing a lot at the time. I also moved to New Jersey, which was about 1 hour. I moved to Asbury Park, New Jersey, another life-changing event in my life. Another music town. A lot of rock and roll comes out of Asbury Park. Specifically, there's this big venue there called the Stone Pony, and Bruce Springsteen, and a lot of big people play there. So I always want to be in music towns. For some reason, I just need that sort of energy, you know. So I moved to Asbury Park. We bought a house down there because it was a place that needed some love. It had kind of gotten a little bit shabby. And long story, but we ended up buying a house, and then of course, we kind of got one of the last good deals down there. There's a beach down there. It was a beautiful area.
Yeah, then it was still good.
Yeah, it was good prices.
I was there. I was there previous. I was there in the 90s, and then New Jersey was.
Yeah, it was, again, a lot of the places in the 90s and the early 2000s, it took time for them to come around. Regentrification and, Anyway, long story short, I moved to Asbury Park, and I got involved in the local theater scene there because I love doing theater. It's kind of my background, I always want to do theater. So I ended up becoming an executive director for a theater down on the Jersey Shore, which kind of took a lot of time. And again, I was still able to cover the Village People occasionally when they needed me.
Yeah, so it was a good mixture.
Yeah, it was a good mixture. So that was great. Learned how to do a lot of things in terms of producing theater. A lot of stuff I took everything that I kind of knew, kind of learned over the years, and I got to do it I got to put it all together, and that was a great experience for me. And then that's about 3 or 4 years into that, I get the call that David Hodo is going to retire, and they want me to become the full-time construction worker for the Village People. And I'm sure, great. So I did that. I took the job, and for a while I was doing both jobs.
Oh wow, that's busy.
That was very crazy. I was 2 years.
Your husband was probably not too happy.
It's always nice to take the work when you get it in this industry because you never know. It's going to be up and down.
You don't know when it's dry.
But sometimes you do have to, it got to be too much. So I took 2 years off. For 2 years I did it, and then I finally gave notice at the theater because. How
did it work with the Village People? Were you still very popular and
traveling
all over the world?
We were.
I don't actually.
Well,
know.
I have to say, and we can talk about this too, and I want to tell you more about some of the projects that I'm doing now. The Village People has been popular in Europe, maybe more popular in Europe than in America, frankly. Yeah. We were playing a lot of fairs and a lot of venues. Sometimes we'd be a part of a bigger evening. We came to Amsterdam a number of times.
I remember I saw you guys in the Toppers.
Yeah, that's when I first got to meet you.
And, that was a major thing in the arena, and you were there only for 8 minutes,
7 minutes or something. It was like in and out, in and out. Those kind of gigs are great. You fly all the way across the world and across the sea and. You're on stage for 7 minutes, and then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. But it was a part of a bigger evening. But all this to say, we were working a lot. And then during my time with the Village People, another life-changing event for me is I met someone who was an incredible human being. Then you know him, of course. Our dear friend Mario Delat, who is just, in my opinion, has an incredible story, has done incredible things. He was the Village People International Fan Club president.
We're going to interview him also.
For
the people who are like, who is he?
He's amazing,
don't
and
worry.
Truly you need to, you do need to interview him, and he'll tell you even more detail than I can. But I just always loved Mario when I met Mario, because he had been with the group since practically from the beginning. When they first started coming.
Was this in the 70s?
I think 1980. Well, they started in 78, I think, or something like that, or 77. And then Mario became involved with them when they released, he was a big fan, and he was, in touch with them, just saying, I'm a fan. And then and I guess they did a release of Can't Stop the Music, which was the big movie that they did. And there was a sort of a premiere in Europe, and specifically here in the Netherlands, and he got in touch with them, and pretty much from that point on was
I'm going to interview him. So the rest he can tell us.
Yeah.
So anyway, but you met him.
Yep.
So you were living in New Jersey.
Yep.
being a full-time, doing Village People full-time.
Right.
And did you do a little bit like sometimes something on the side, or was that
Well,
not
I was
possible?
I was also writing music. I was
Okay.
also very much involved with still the local theater scene, you know, supporting them and occasionally producing when I could. I was gone a lot. We would do, you know, a lot of weekends. I was gone almost every weekend for 4 years, 5 years, you know, it was a lot. It was hard to even get off for my wedding. Which was,
Oh, wow.
well, in 2013, pretty soon after I started full time with them, Chris and I decided that's when it became legal to get married for gay people to get married in America, and we had said we weren't going to get married until we actually could get married, because a lot of our friends were having ceremonies to be domestic partners and stuff like that, and we had been together since 2001 and spring of 2001. So we're like, we're just going to wait, and so finally in New Jersey it became legal.
And then you said,
And
okay,
so we said we
let's do
set
it.
the date,
Yeah.
and we decided we did it at the theater where I worked on the set of Oklahoma,
Oh.
because that's what was playing at the theater. And we took that Saturday night off. I said we can do Oklahoma, but not on the Saturday, the 26th of July. And and then before that came around, then it became legal. It was state by state at first.
Okay.
Certain states were
Yeah.
early in the process, and others probably wouldn't have come around until they finally I think, you know, they made it federally,
Yeah.
a federal mandate that it was legal. So even before the wedding, it was completely legal all over in Mary. It wasn't even like, we were going to be recognized no matter where we went.
Okay.
So it just worked out. The timing was great, and had a wonderful day. That was a beautiful day. And
That was a few days ago.
well, we celebrated 10 years just a few days ago, and but we've been together 23 years. So I always want to tell people that, because like, oh, you've been together 10 years? No, we've been together 23 years. But we could only get married 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
Okay, so you got married.
Yep.
You got to know Mario.
Yep.
You were really working full time. So everything in your life turned out
Yeah, it was
relaxed.
great. I mean, we have our ups and downs. I mean,
of course,
you know,
everybody does.
The group that I was involved with, I mean, you know, I'll just sort of give you the tail end of this story. I was involved with a lot of a couple of the original guys, and one guy that had been there pretty much from the beginning, and Eric, who had replaced Glenn Hughes back in the day. These guys have been in the group for practically 40 years, most of them. And there was a trademark dispute that happened in 2018 into 2019, and that we couldn't fight it. It just became a problem. None of us owns any of the music. We're just performers, right?
Yeah.
Some of them get a little bit of money for being on the album, but it's not the same as being the composer for these songs. Anyway, long story short, they've put a new group together because of a trademark issue, and we are now the Kings of Disco, former members of Village People, and we're putting out some new stuff, still touring. I still consider myself, the former member of Village People and a former construction worker. But the music industry in America is complicated.
Yeah.
There's always some problem. How you hear about it all the time with groups. We're this group.
Especially when there's money involved.
Always.
It's always difficult.
And in America, there's always people trying to get in, and always people. It's corporate takeover basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So sadly, we're not the Village People anymore. They're still out. There's another group out there that is the Village People, and they're doing their thing, and we're doing our thing. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
But at
anyway,
this, but it's still good. It was a great opportunity, and I met some wonderful people, and now I'm here working on a project.
Because
Mario.
you're here in Amsterdam.
Yep.
There's two. I want to talk about the project with Mario as well.
I'm excited about it.
But let's before we talk about that project, you're also very busy in the United States.
Yes.
You're doing a lot of things in the theater.
Right.
I want to talk about that first, and then we talk about why you are in.
Yeah, and how it all goes
right
together.
now.
Sure,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Well, I'm still very much active composer. I'm an active, I'm working, I started my own record label. And I actually live in Athens, Georgia, which is a little bit outside of Atlanta.
Yeah,
and it's actually just to sort of catch you up with sort of the flow of my life, we lived in Asbury Park for almost 20 years. And then during COVID, of course, that was a horrible time for everybody. And things were starting to shut down, and we couldn't work anymore. I'm in the live theater, My husband is also, he's a trainer and does, body work, and he's very hands-on, and we're not allowed to work. So all of a sudden, a year or two, 2 years later, we were in trouble.
Yeah.
And the good thing is we had sold our house for a lot of money. We sold our house for a lot of money. And
good
decided to buy another one with the money that we made. And we bought a 6-acre farm in Georgia. Because it just was like,
It's a dream.
It's a dream. It's always been our dream to retire in the South, where it's slower and cheaper.
And you were originally
from the
South.
From Tennessee.
Where's your husband from?
He's from Indiana, so it's similar. It's not that far.
Okay.
It's only 6 hours from, north. So it's kind of very similar. We grew up kind of in the in the sticks. So we were kind of looking forward to get back to that. So we did buy a house there, and Athens is also a big music town. REM is from Athens. They started there. They still live there. The B-52s are from Athens. So it's it's also the town where the big University of Georgia is, and huge university, and it's a very historical town. So it's been a really great place to live. I still have to commute to New York, but all this to say, I'm still working for a theater company in Asbury Park, which I started the theater company right before COVID, and then it went, dormant for 2 years, and then 3 years practically, and then we kind of started it back up, and then I kind of relocated to Georgia, but I'm still sort of commuting. But we've been producing shows there. I just came back from there, actually. Just last week, I was there finishing a show called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. And it's a fun, silly show that was a big hit. And we've done American Idiot. We've done The $1 Million Quartet. We've done a lot of really neat theater there, and I'm very proud of the work that I've done there. I've always been in the theater, and I think I always will be. I also teach voice lessons, which I love doing because I love sharing. I love inspiring young people to learn how to really properly sing. I teach acting and get these kids involved in, I've always done that. That's always been a big part of it.
I love, the voice that you give people a voice.
Sure, yeah. And you got to teach people how to use their voices and how to support it and all that sort of stuff. So, again, I've just been very, very lucky, and I'm drawn to new projects, and I'm drawn to good stories and different ways to tell stories. I'm a Netflixaholic, if you will, and I love watching movies, and I love watching good acting and good storytelling and good theater making and all of that sort of stuff. And that's what kind of led me to continue my incredible relationship with Mario.
Yeah, so you're here in Holland.
Yeah.
Why? Tell us.
Because my dear friend Mario Delot said, you have to come and see me. He came to see me a couple of years ago, and we spent a couple of years. We're writing a project together. And it's going to
be really special.
It's really special.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. Mario is an incredible person. He's one of these people. He's a little bit older than me, a little bit, not much. Kind of an age where he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot, and I say that he was.
Yeah, we talk.
You'll talk more with him.
I'm going to interview him, so you don't have to.
I don't have to give you all the details.
He also had a rough life. Let's
and he's his whole story of becoming living through challenges, growing up in an orphanage, and then becoming a gay man.
Why did you want to work with him?
Because of his story, which is why I'm interested in sort of at least giving you some bullet points about it, because he's done so much for the gay community, and he's one of those people, those unsung heroes. You know what I'm saying? Somebody you might not have heard of. He didn't throw stones, throw whatever rocks at the police at Stonewall or whatever. It's maybe not somebody in the papers, but he should be and will be after this project.
He will be.
He will be, and because he's done so much. I mean, and he was very close with the Village People. Very close to Glenn Hughes of the Village People, and very, and just has lived an amazing life with an amazing story that I know you're going to, get more details on.
So that inspired you.
Yeah.
So is that why you're in Holland right now?
That's why I came, and then I came because we were working on this project. We're writing a manuscript based on his life. It's his memoirs. I can say that much. It's his memoirs that I'm helping him write. He's doing most of the writing, obviously. Writing it in English, and I was blown away. We had originally talked about doing a play about his life because it's so interesting, and we planned to. But as we were writing it, as he was writing, I just was blown away with his storytelling, and blown away with the story of Mario, because it's a story of of incredible, overcoming incredible obstacles, and not just surviving it, but really, living it and triumphant. So I was blown away by it, and we were writing the book, a manuscript that we feel is a really, really good source for other, forms of the story. I think somebody would want to probably produce a television series, maybe a Netflix series, or perhaps, definitely a documentary. But I think it's just the story, in my opinion, it really needs to be told. And I am completely behind it, and I'm completely dedicated to helping make that happen. And, I said, okay, I finally was able to work it out to get over here, get my butt over here, of course, during Pride. Perfect time to come.
And it's Pride, but you're alone. You're without your husband.
Well, he knew that I was coming to work. And it's funny enough, every time I've ever come to Europe, it's always been sort of to work, and it's not the same thing to come over and just sit around while your husband is working. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
So we're going to make a special trip when we can just come and have fun.
I would love that. Or we all have an excuse to come over to Atlanta.
Yeah, come on over. But I'm here, and other opportunities to get to come and talk to you, and other interviews. And then I got a call from people involved at Pride stage, and they asked me to sing on the Pride stage on Friday night.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's extremely exciting. That just kind of fell into my lap, and so now I'm trying to pull that together and get get everything together for that. So that's Friday night, and that's it's kind of all coming together. Yeah.
So if the project over here is the one that you're working on with Mario.
Yes.
And in the States, I think you work on a lot of projects.
Yeah, I do.
Projects, huh?
I do. I mean, I write a lot of music. I'm actually currently been asked to write some songs for a film that's being currently filmed. I'm actually playing a role in the movie.
So I have a famous actor.
Well, let's hope that the movie does well.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
Let's get your autograph. Fast.
Well, it's just interesting because you spend your whole life kind of preparing yourself for certain things. I've always been a theater person and a live performance person. Theater, operetta, Village People. That's always been kind of my avenue. But I've trained to be a film actor, and I've done some commercials and done some small things, but my focus has always been something else. And Atlanta's kind of booming, Atlanta's kind of booming.
Yeah,
and that's the other reason we kind of chose
several
it.
times, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, especially in the film industry and in the music industry. So we ended up kind of picking that, we're not right in Atlanta, but we're pretty close, within about an hour and 10 minutes. So there's a lot going on there, and I just was asked to play a role in a film, and the writer was very intrigued with my writing, and I'm from Nashville, and I tend to write kind of I write a lot of different kinds of music, but I have believe it or not, an affinity for sort of country music and for folk music, and he wanted some original songs. So okay, I'll do it. So it's called Funeral Food. That's really exciting. So that's happening in September. It's going to be a progressive thing. It's it's an indie film, so it's not going to be filmed in one block. It's going to take some time for them to do it. But I said that's fine. I'll do it. I'm on board. So
if you look back on your life right now, because you're here now with us here in Amsterdam, you've walked a lot of steps to get over here. Is there anything also? This program is called Lifechangers. Yeah. For the people that are watching, or to inspire them, what was there anything in your life that you were like, okay, that's keeping me going? Because when I listen to you, you have so much energy, and it goes like, okay, let's do it, let's just go on. And is there a secret, or
well,
is it...
I mean, I think one of the things that I always tell people is, you have to really do what you love. Now that doesn't mean I haven't had some jobs that I've had to, but you have to find something that you really are passionate about and do it, whether you get paid for it or not. Yeah. Because if you're an artist, you're an artist. And if you want to be a professional artist, then you just have to work a little harder. I think as a performing artist, one of the things I would say that really helped me to start getting jobs and helped me to start sort of really, I had really incredible training. I was very, very lucky. As I mentioned, I learned music theory and how to play the piano, and I understand music really well. I don't even have a degree in music, but I understand music probably better than I do other things. That was high school opportunities and college opportunities, and even earlier than high school. I was taking piano early on. Those were those were gifts to me.
But you're not lazy.
No,
when I listen, I'm like, is it like a little bit of luck and the training?
Well, I think it's a little bit of that too, but I think it's also just if you want to do it, you just do it, and you'll find a way to make money at it. And you also, I would say, the other thing that was life-changing for me is understanding kind of when I started getting work beyond just being, an actor or a performer or a singer center stage, I realized I could do other things too. I was smart. I have a degree in writing, and it's in theater, but I had to write a lot, and and I had to learn a lot of When I was in college, I took a course called Coping with Computers, but now I know how to use computers. I know how to use music software. These are things that are life changing because it gives you opportunity. So I think education is underrated. Now, and I don't necessarily mean university or formal education. So a lot of people learn.
No, but isn't it just educating people to becoming something really instead of just learning blah 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 information that you will never use
unless you want to
again.
just and listen. No, I don't knock anybody that wants to have sort of a more of a 9-to-5 job, as we call it. That's great. There's a lot of people that who love that and are passionate about that. But I think that as an artist, I think you have to broaden your skill set, and I think that to me is what I learned from other people that I looked up to. Oh, well, he's an actor. Oh, but he also writes music. Oh, and he's a director too. And he also
so
works,
you just put everything in your...
I could do that. I know all about theater. I could produce. Okay, I can balance a checkbook.
That's
so
great.
Those are things that you start realizing, and I think you just. And those are big things that happened for me, is that I had opportunities to learn things that gave me confidence and gave me skills in different ways. Because ultimately, and I'm still learning, at my age, I'm still figuring things out. I still have a ways to go with, getting my music published and getting it out there. That's another thing I'm working on here. Some folks, that have been open to, giving me advice and to, helping me. And I think also don't be afraid to ask. If you're going to be a lifelong student, that's what I always tell people. You want to change your life and get smarter and things to be, you want things to be better for you. You want things to work out for you. Then always learn something. It doesn't mean you have to go to school or you have to take a course.
But just learn something.
Learn from people. Good. What I learned from Mario. For example, it's somebody that that's why I get pulled back to him, because he's got so much, going
we're going to talk about him, but now we're going to talk about you.
Well, these are all big events in my life,
That's great.
Important people.
We're at the end of the interview, William.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
It was so great meeting you
Thank
again.
you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
I am looking forward to everything that you're going to produce.
Thank you so much.
The coming next year.
I'm going to keep you informed.
Oh,
and I will come back and I'll have more to share. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Thank you, William.
Thank you for having me, Patricia.
Ja, en toen was het alweer aan het einde. En zo kan je zien dat Lifechangers heb je op allerlei verschillende manieren. En het is ook mooi om weer een boodschap door te krijgen. Vandaag was mijn gast William Whitefield. Ik zou zeggen, ga eens kijken wie hij echt is. Anyway, voor nu wil ik u bedanken voor het kijken. En volgende week heb ik weer een nieuwe Lifechanger hier bij Patricia Meets Lifechangers. Tot dan, dag!